30-minute break for lunch. 2 slabs of bread with bacon or cheese, washed down with a basin of tea. Then the men lay down on the decks, eyes closed till they were piped back to work. Every hour, signal flags were hoisted at the yardarms, indicating how many tons of coal had been stowed during the previous hour. Today, the whole squadron was coaling together across the Firth of Forth, so that competition was all the more intense, between as well as within ships. Vast clouds of filthy black powder rose from the holds and from the ship's bunkers, settling everywhere. The Royal Marine Band, perched precariously on top of the centre gun turret, played the sailor's hornpipe, Drunken Sailor, and other sea shanties, with soot rising around them and their instruments until they all resembled coloured minstrels from the music halls. The air was thick with suffocating dust. Leo could not imagine what it was like for Willie down in the bunkers. By 6 o'clock in the evening these were filled. All hands now turned to washing down the ship from truck to keel. A tug steamed slowly around the vessel, washing down the upper works with high-pressure hoses. When the Queen Mary was clean, the hands could go below to wash themselves and their clothes. There were no showers. Boys were given 1 bucket of cold water between 4 of them. Afterwards, coal dust stuck for days to those who'd smeared their eyebrows and eyelashes with Vaseline, and they looked to Leo like some odd species of owl. Chapter 2. 9 a.m., Tuesday the 30th of May. The ship lay at anchor in the Firth of Forth. On the day following the coaling, after morning division, HMS Queen Mary was prepared for gymnastics. Older men, those over 35, were excused, and instead kept busy rigging different sets of apparatus across the upper deck of the battlecruiser for their younger colleagues. All the other hands fell out and made their way by divisions to different exercise stations. The bugler played a G-note, and gymnastics began. Leo Sercombe's division climbed onto the roof of the casement for the 4-inch guns on the forecastle deck. On its port side, a horizontal climbing rope had been erected, from hooks screwed into metal stanchions. The boys took turns wriggling along it. The night had been cool, but the sun was rising bright and burned off the last of the mist that clung to the water. Battlecruisers and other ships lay at anchor all up and down the Firth, placid as rocky outcrops in the unruffled tide. When the bugler played a G-note again, the boys' division climbed down to the deck, and, one after another, jumped over the horse. Then they moved round the bows to the tug-of-war, and on to the trapeze, to parallel bars, to Swedish drill, shifting around the ship each time the bugler played the note. Leo spent the afternoon on a wooden platform slung by ropes over the side, painting the upper hull. Seawater corrosion meant that hands were continually redecorating their ship, chipping away flaking grey paint, sanding the surface, applying a fresh coat. One part or another always stank of fresh linseed and turpentine. Now and again Leo glanced behind him at the leisurely pace of activity across the estuary. A collier cast off from a destroyer depot ship. Picket boats traced overlapping lines between cruisers and shore, as if weaving some intricate watery thread. A tug chugged upstream, towing a line of barges, only the smoke belching from its squat funnel indicating the strain it was under. An oiler berthed beside one of the new battleships that had oil-fired engines. Long tubes connected the 2 vessels. Pumps began to inject the fuel into the great ship, as if with a fresh infusion of blood. It was almost 6 p.m. Some of the officers were yet to return from an afternoon ashore in Rosyth or Edinburgh. Leo cleaned his paintbrushes in white spirit. Jimmy White was polishing brasses. His hands were black, and his face too, for he was forever scratching a tickle or wiping off sweat. Leo gazed periodically out over the starboard side to Queensferry and beyond, where the vague bluish shapes of the Pentland Hills rose in the far distance. Jimmy must have noticed, for he said,
"Ain't you never going to get used to being a seaman? You looks like a maid peeking at the land like her lover boys over there."